Hey, it's Amy again, and I am once more here on BookTube. You might be thinking, I am sick of seeing this woman's face on my feed every single day. If so, well, at least these videos are going to be shorter than the ones I've been uploading. I've been doing wrap-up vids and everything, and they're fun and all that, but the thing is, I really like doing review videos. With a wrap-up vid, I'm always concerned about how much time I'm actually taking up. Like, okay, I've been talking about book number 1 for a while, it's time for book number 2. When I'm talking about a book, I want to be excited about that book and that book only. So I think I'm going to revert over to this format instead. And of course I'm doing a readathon, so this might mean that I upload a video every day, every other day, depending on how often I finish my books. You know, this way people can actually go in and just watch the videos for the books that they actually are interested in, instead of being stuck sitting through a whole wrap-up video with like all these books on different topics. I've been in a conference all day. Right now I'm on like the virtual equivalent of a smoke break, I guess, so I have a few minutes. The book that I want to talk about today is called Disciplining the Empire, and that is a return to my early days in college when I was studying maritime history. This book is, of course, a nonfiction book. It's about 300 pages of just a history of the British Navy and how it actually became the British Navy that we know and think of when we think of the Navy in historical films. For example, when I think of the British Navy back in like the 18th century, I always think of Pirates of the Caribbean, how they're dressed and how they function. But this book starts out in the 17th century, so like I think the mid or late 1600s, and it explains that the British Navy as we know it was not always like that. It started out, it was actually in great disarray. There wasn't even like a standardized uniform. So if you were watching a movie set before the year 1740 something and they have the same uniform in every ship in the entire fleet, then that's probably not accurate, because according to this book, it wasn't until like the late 1740s that the, I guess, right group of people seized control of the Admiralty Board, and it was only after they took over that they started implementing all of these reforms and pushing through all of these regulations. The soldiers of the Navy had to be strictly disciplined according to these new guidelines, and of course there was pushback from like the people who are currently in the Navy, the public in general, the other people in Parliament. The point of it all is that with all of those like new regulations in place, the Navy was able to function in a more organized manner, and it was therefore more efficient. So, and all of that, the author argues, goes hand in hand with England's own ambitions toward imperialism and just its goals for the colonies that were already under its control, and even for like the British population in general. I think the author says that the Navy is like a mirror of British society and politics. So when the authoritarian Whigs took control of the Admiralty Board and therefore like the Navy, you can see a sort of increased push towards not only beating the Navy into shape, you start to see heavier regulation of the colonies as well. And it was that combined with the sudden presence of a aggressive and very intimidating and organized Navy in the American colonies, in the British colonies, that became like the final trigger, I suppose, for revolution. And it wasn't only the United States. You saw the same like push for control in India and even with like Ireland. What I like is that even though this is kind of a niche topic, like I follow these accounts of these naval and maritime historians. This is the only reason we're this book coming out. But even if you aren't somebody who has studied this topic extensively, and even if you are brand new to this area, I think you can still understand what Sarah Kinkel is talking about. The biggest, I guess, obstacle for me was actually trying to keep track of the British political parties and how, who supported what, like which factions were in support of which reforms. That was like the main thing that I had to really think hard about. But other than that, everything else is really easy and clear to comprehend. So yeah, if you have any interest in maritime history, naval history, or like even the history of colonialism, revolution, or the American Revolution in particular, this shows it from like the British point of view, and it shows you all the problems that were going on in the British Empire, like in actual England at that time. So that was really fun to read about. I'm gonna go now because I gotta go back to my next meeting. See ya, bye.